This is Natalie Pace, and welcome to my video conference and podcast. Today, our interview is with Jay Samit. He is the former independent vice chair of Deloitte Digital. He's the author of many best-selling books, but the most recent one is The Second Act Advantage, Monetize Your Wisdom, Master Longevity, and Build an Unforgettable Legacy. We're going to be talking about what that means with him. And of course, we'll also include AI and social media since he is a digital guru as well. So, Jay, thank you so much for joining me today. I am very excited to discuss this with you because you hit on a lot of things that are, I think, not only super important for everybody of all ages, but we share a lot of common passions. And one of the things that I really love about your second act advantage and what you're talking about here is using all of the tools, whether it's neuro linguistic tools or AI tools or social media, and even the wisdom we have as the elders, to help that second act. I'm assuming the second act means post 50. What does it mean to you?
So to me, and it's an excellent question, second act refers to whenever you suddenly are starting your second act. So if you spent since 8 years old trying to be an Olympic medalist and you come in 2/100th of a second late,
Yeah.
your second act starts at 20. If
Yeah.
you spend time in the military, what we're seeing now is kids coming out of college who their first act was all being in school and following what society told them. And now for the first time in history, you're less likely to get hired with a college degree than you are with a high school degree. So
Ew.
you're graduating with a mortgage, but no jobs. So second act, anything. The second act advantage is really, I started my first high-tech company at 20. If you talk to 20-year-old, they know everything. I knew everything.
Right.
I got lucky. It takes you a whole lifetime to realize what you don't know.
Yeah.
But when you start on the other side of 40 or the other side of 50, here's what the advantages are that people don't understand as they're pushing you out of the corporate world because they think you're expensive. One, you didn't get the gray hair and the wrinkles from sitting around. You've dealt with difficult people. You've pivoted businesses. You have the wisdom that AI doesn't have. AI is a wonderful resource. I'm not knocking AI, but
Right.
it isn't a human. It doesn't understand the irrational world we have to make decisions and build businesses in. Second advantage is when I started my first company, I knew no one. If you would have told me that dozens of my friends would become billionaires and household names,
Yeah.
I didn't know what a millionaire was. When I started working with Steve Jobs and Bill Gates and all of these people that, you think about, we were just lunatics, okay?
Right.
Um, so now you have a network. You can reach into anywhere. You have people that'll support you, that'll make stuff happen. And the third advantage is it used to be you had to raise a bunch of capital, and there were gatekeepers to capital. I've raised over $1 billion for startups and taken companies public and all of that. But now you don't have to hire as many people. You can hire the most talented person in the world because it's not a person.
Right.
AI can do your graphics, can do your market research, can do your sales funnel. It can challenge your assumptions. What's wrong with your business? Why shouldn't you do this? All of these things, you have the same tools for about $20 a month that big corporations use. And to make it even easier when you buy the second act advantage, I give you an AI for free. I had my team build one purposefully just to help you plan out your next part of your life. No other corporate agenda. And if you say, I don't know how to use AI, great. It's literally digital J. It's like having me as a mentor. You just stand there, you ask questions. If you want to start a charity, if you want to live richly in another country that's cheaper, whatever your goals are,
Yeah.
this will be kept up to date because the problem with most books is they're out of date the second you buy them. Now, this lives and grows with you. So trying to help as many people as I can.
Well, let's tell people where they can get your book and they can get this digital J companion. Is that at jsamit.com?
You can get that at jsamit.com or secondact.jsamit.com. I'm easy to find and easy to reach. The book's everywhere. You get audio, Kindle, Amazon, wherever books are sold.
Right.
My past books are in 14 languages. What I enjoy so much, what surprised me the most, my second act, I should describe. So I built companies, billions of people use my tools. I helped Reid Hoffman launch LinkedIn. I helped Zuckerberg monetize Facebook, all these things. But what drove me in the beginning was I had two young kids, very similar to what you preach in your books. I didn't set out to be an entrepreneur. I set out to give my kids a better life.
Yeah.
When they grew up and they were doing fine, I was rudderless.
Mm.
So I said, a little secret, I have something that none of my billionaire friends have. Enough. So I wasn't chasing more money. I didn't want more power. I didn't want any of those things, but I
Right.
realized I could help people. So I started teaching it at the largest engineering school, USC, and I had students make $100 million in a semester. Real cash, not make-believe cash.
Right.
And I realized it can be taught because we've taught people to be employees. Your parents, your teachers stopped you from being an entrepreneur because entrepreneurship involves failing. Failing involves growth. Growth involves pain. But it gives you a richer life. So if this could be taught, I wrote my first book, and you've been through this and you wrote many great books. I thought when I wrote my first book that it was a monologue, the guru on high sharing everything that I've learned to pay it forward. But I've heard from readers in 140 countries. I call them love letters. On your worst day, you get a note from somebody. You don't know how they find the information, but they
Yeah.
thank you for changing your life. And that just makes me want to work harder and harder.
Well, and that also brings me to something quite interesting because I was reading what, your press person had sent over to us, and she said that the book is basically saying, what will the world gain because you finally have the time to do it? And I love the fact that you're not limiting second act to, an age. I mean, I think about this all the time. We're entering the World Cup right now, right? These athletes have a very short first career. And then they're
Yeah.
thrown out, and you only pray, hope, and pray that they got an education. But let's.
Think of all the people that took the safe route and said, okay, I'm going to get an engineering degree. I'm going to go work for the big companies. I mean, there's my security. Well, AI is a better programmer than a human. Since January, 1.2 million of these highly educated engineers have been laid off. So
Yeah,
their second act, you don't always get to pick when it happens. You
right.
get that email with no description, come see me, and they hand you a cardboard box. That's the thanks you get. And I don't think society is prepared for this change. And you're right. The second act doesn't also have to be about making money. If you're secure, somewhere along the lines, we stopped fighting for things that we believed in. We stopped focusing on the injustices or whatever it was that you want to see. And now, if you're not focused on money, why not solve some of these problems? And there's some amazing stories. There's one woman that comes to mind that's just like beyond amazing. She's 87 years old, living in Texas. And to put it in historical context, her grandmother was born enslaved. So
Wow.
that's how close we are to the Civil War. Okay. And her whole life, she wanted Juneteenth to be a federal holiday. And politicians promised this or that. And she was fed up. She was running out of time. She's 87 when she starts this story. She decides she's going to walk from Texas to the White House. I
Wow.
call it her Forrest Gump moment.
Wow.
And people stop on the road like, old lady, let me give you a ride. Where are you going? And she refuses.
Right.
Press comes out and another and another. By the time she got to the White House, it's a federal holiday. You
Wow.
can't change the world. The only thing that does change the world is people that don't give up. You only need two things to be successful: insight and perseverance. I can teach insight. Perseverance, you got to dig in. The other one, there's a great story in the book. A woman about 50, husband's having an affair, leaves her depressed,
Hmm.
in debt. I
Hmm.
mean, very common story. Haven't
Right.
read your books probably, okay? And her friend told her, you either get a psychiatrist or a dog. So she couldn't afford the shrink, so she got a dog. And a
Right.
local pet food store had a contest. Make a Christmas card with your pet's picture. If you win, you get free dog food. So she made a card with a picture of her little dog, Zelda. And it said on the cover, um, for Christmas, I got a dog for my husband. And you open it up, said, good trade, huh? She sold 1 million of those the first year. And she went on to launch a giant business. It's about taking that first step. Will you fail? Probably. But when you fail, you don't end up where you start. You either earn or you learn. But
Yeah.
either way, you're propelled to success. All these great titans that you see, I can tell you what their first businesses were, and they all failed. And
Right.
they pulled themselves up and they did it again and again and again.
Well,
So,
yeah, and this idea of a kind of almost even like a purpose-driven life, I just full disclosure, every, thing that I have done that I'm really super proud of, or even what I'm doing right now, it all started as a nonprofit venture. And honestly, in a certain way, that's entrepreneurialism, isn't it? A cash negative on adventure
no,
that you hope doesn't.
100%. But you hit on something that's absolute genius. What is the key to longevity? Because if you make it to 60, you have a good chance of making it to 90. And so if I'm telling people how to have a second act, I'm also giving them tips to live longer and all that.
Yeah.
And here's what the research shows. It's not exercise. It's not diet. It's not your genes. The number one thing, they got it wrong when they looked at the blue zones originally. Number one thing for longevity is to have a purpose.
Wow.
Japanese call it ikigai, a reason to get out of bed in the morning, because it drives you. Okay. Here's
Right.
the flip side. Retirement is more deadly than smoking. First year of retirement, you lose 30% of your short term memory and you increase your chance of dying of all causes by 53%.
Holy smokes.
So, retirement was designed for when you work your butt off and our life expectancy was much shorter. 100 years ago, life expectancy in the US was 30.
Wow.
So, we're blessed with these extra decades. Why not change the world? And some of the nonprofit things people are doing, some of the whatever your thing is. One young man I recently wrote about loved his grandmother, got great advice from her, and she was just sitting, in her place. So he would take her out on Sundays, set up a little booth in Central Park to get advice from his bubby. And millennials, Gen Z, everybody would line up to ask because not everybody had grandparents. And when she died, he missed that. So he set up a way to do it digitally so that old people in senior living places can have interaction, can have cross generational mentorships. I mean, it just takes the effort. It doesn't take much more. And when you get that positive feedback that you've had in your life, it spurns you on to do even more.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't know if this is like getting a little too woo-woo for you, but I'm sure that you've got some science behind this. What I found is that if you do have something you're passionate about and you start doing it, other people are passionate about it too. It's almost like you get free angels that come walking into your life, you know?
Well, a big audacious idea is like a light to moths. Okay, you
Mhm.
shine it out there. I saw my first company back in the 20th century in the 1990s, and the web was just coming on. And
Yeah.
I saw it. I'd been on the internet since 78. Okay, so OG. But I saw that this could be a chance to solve Brown versus school of education. That if you got the internet into classrooms, every school could have maps, every school could have equal knowledge. And so I started writing about this. That was it. I wasn't old gray known Jay. I was little nobody Jay. Okay. And one day my assistant says, the president's on the phone. I go, president of what? And I embarrassed myself making a guy with a really strong Arkansas accent prove to me that he was president of the United States. Make long story short, go, I get I get tapped by the White House. Can you get the internet into every classroom? I
Wow.
said, sure. I said, one caveat, we don't have a penny of taxpayer dollars. So by just sharing that idea and getting it out there, make a long story short, 18 months later, we had wired this before Wi-Fi. So you had to drill Cat5 wire. We had
Yeah.
wired every classroom in the United States without one nickel of taxpayer dollars.
Wow.
That's what people can do.
That's a
And we're
great
pushing
story.
out our most experienced, wisest people are getting pushed out of jobs. And 50% of seniors they retire with nothing, and Social Security doesn't cut it.
No,
So
it doesn't. Well, here's another thing then, and I like this idea that it kind of leads into social media. How in the world did the president find you? And is it easier today with social media or any of the other AI tools that we have to really kind of give a megaphone to what it is that you're doing?
thanks for the soft pedal question. Yes. There are women in this book. There are grandmothers who are just doing recipes and cooking on TikTok, making $1 million a year.
Wow.
There are grandmothers eating on TikTok, making over $1 million a year. There's a guy who loves sports who, when he retired, he just decided to do a podcast like anybody and talk about sports. He wasn't anybody famous, didn't anything. Spotify just bought his uh, podcast for $200 million.
Wow.
Yes, these are the outliers and the extremes, but the bottom line is I'm trying to speak to the last non-native digital generation that ever will be.
Yeah.
So they're old enough, and I'm just talking to the older folks here. Everybody else put a pin in it for 1 second. These are the people that said, a computer in my house? I'll never have a computer. Why would I need a computer? Well, you learned you were wrong. I don't need a phone that doesn't have any buttons on it. Why would I ever use that? I don't need an iPhone. You're wrong. I'm also willing to tell you that this decade you will have a humanoid robot in your house because it'll allow you to stay independent, living longer. And it's better than trying to juggle, people that can come and take care of you, as I'm dealing with elderly in-laws and parents at this time. So this is a chance to really engage, keep your mind working, develop new neuroplasticity so that you'll be younger.
Right.
And at the same time, if you look at it, there's tons of research in this book, and I try to bring it down so everybody can understand it. But with footnotes, if you want to read crazy stuff going on, Dr. David Sinclair is in charge of aging at Harvard Medical School.
Right.
Basically says people walking around today, there are many who will make it to 150. And when I
Holy.
first heard that, I go, do I really want to be older than 75 for half my life? But
Yeah.
that's not what he's saying. He's now de-aging mice. He's
Mm.
we're getting older doesn't mean getting decrepit. You can now make your heart younger, make your lungs younger, make your skin younger. And they're doing this today. In Germany, they're on human trials right now where humans are regrowing their teeth. No more posts and crowns. And my wife had tons of dental work the past 3 years, complications. And I always ask her to open her mouth so I can see the Mercedes that's parked in there because the cost is enormous,
Right.
right?
Right.
So you only have to stay really healthy for this decade because most of what kills us today, high blood pressure, cancer, and everything, AI is solving that. It's an
Right.
amazing time to be alive. So I tried to simplify what's the bare minimum to do to be healthy because I'm lazy.
Well, let's talk about that. In your book, how do you, let's say one of these soccer players does get injured and now they're launched into their second act at the ripe age of 21. What do you think the first things they should be doing?
The first thing they need to do is find out what brings them joy. Because
Mm,
part of it is to have a purpose, you have to have a passion behind it. Okay.
yeah.
I've sold my companies to big companies and I hate running big companies. I hate it no matter how much money. I was a public NASDAQ CEO. It's like there's a reason they pay you so much money. There's no joy. Okay. I'd
Yeah.
rather sit in a room with 3 people and start them. So with the AI that comes with the book, Digital J, there are exercises that were developed by psychologists so you can answer those questions where there's no wrong answer. Do you like public speaking? Do you like working with your hands? Do you want to work with the group? So you can start seeing directions of things and then explore what you can do in social media to build a business around and how to do it and answer all the things right down to, how do you get money from the government? Government will give you these low interest loans for your new business with really next to no questions asked. There's tons of crowdfunding sources, almost anything you can do. So that's what I would solve the person. In my earlier books, which were aimed at how to become an entrepreneur,
Yeah.
I challenge people to walk around for 1 month and write down 3 problems in their life every day.
Ooh.
First day, it's easy. Oh, there's traffic, there's this. By day 3 or 4, everybody goes, I got no more problems because we're on autopilot. We don't notice them. And
Mm.
I had one person was going through this, month and the phone rings and they're taking their medicine in the morning. And all of a sudden they get off the call and they go, did I take my pill? If I already took, I'm going to take 2 of them. That's not good. If I don't take it, that's also, oh, I got a problem. Make a long story short, gets a Happy Meal watch for a nickel, puts it on the cap of pill bottle. When you open, says, I opened it 8 hours ago or I opened it 3 minutes ago. It's called timer cap, sold millions of them.
Wow.
A flight attendant was searching for her keys to take out of her purse that she does 1,000 times, So why don't I make a clip that hangs on inside? Sold 1 million of them. A moms, listen to this one. You all can relate. It's the middle of the week. Dads too. Middle of the week, it's 9 o'clock at night. Your kid has a project for the next day. They mess up their poster board. Mom, please go to the store. Get me another piece, please, please, please. Mom doesn't. She says, why don't they make poster boards with like fine lines so kids can, write their signs nice? She goes, you know what? I wonder if you could patent that. She'd watched enough Shark Tank. So she got patents for dummies, wrote her own patent, went to the number 2 poster company and said, hey, if you do poster boards like this, you'll probably outsell the other guys, got a royalty, never hired any employees, and made millions.
Wow. Isn't that amazing? And that kind of leads me to a question that I really wanted to ask you as well. You're talking about finding your passion, finding it is that you love, because that's really going to fuel you through those tough times, right? I mean,
Absolutely.
talk a little bit about, I always say being an entrepreneur, it's just a series of solving problems. It's like, boom, okay, do I need to leap over this wall? Can I crash through the wall? Do I need to walk around the wall? Build a ladder? What do I need to do? But you will get tuckered out if you don't have that passion. You want to talk a little bit about problem solving.
So motivation is like a shower. You need to do it often, and you need to get it from somewhere. I have a Substack, Jay Samit at Substack, solely to keep reinforcing people and highlighting the positive things that other people are doing in their second act. We started a second act society. It's free to join. You know how you join? You're a member. And you can meet other people. You can meet up by using the hashtag and go to a farmer's market on the weekend and sit around and share the ideas and build community. There are so many ways to get engaged in what we lost. During COVID, I have very bad lungs. So I was locked in for more than 2 years, never left the house, didn't get to see my kids.
Wow.
But I started realizing that there was a downside to some of the things that I had invented in technology. When you build these things, you think of all the good that you can do for humanity. And there's always somebody out there that turns it around. I built the first social network that had 1 million members. And I realized we lost something. We lost community. We lost the real way of engaging. And so in the second act advantage, I show people how to do that. I mean, when you take an abandoned plot of land in your town and you make a community garden, you're not just growing fruits or vegetables, you're growing friendships, you're
Yep.
growing community, you're growing intergenerational relationships where you can be mentored by somebody younger
Mhm.
about technology, and you can mentor them about maybe you don't want to share that on social media.
Right.
So that's what I see as the possibility here. And I've seen it. My second book was called um, Future Proofing You. And basically, I tried the challenge of I took a homeless immigrant and I
Mm.
mentored him 1 day a week for a year. I gave him no cash, no business contacts. He had to start a business that takes no money.
Right.
And it walks you through it. Spoiler alert, if you're in the middle of it, he goes from homeless to self-made millionaire in under a year.
Wow.
I've yet to find someone that can't do this. Okay. We've taught people not to try. And
Mhm.
our world has so many problems, and you hit on it. Entrepreneurs don't sell things, they solve things.
Yeah.
Nobody ever went to a hardware store to buy a quarter-inch drill bit. They wanted a quarter-inch hole. They bought the drill bit to make the hole.
Right.
So if you can identify a problem, you're not the only one with it. And
Right.
very quickly, you'll see that the tools now are free and easy, and you can iterate so fast. You can find a website similar to what you want to do and literally just say to AI, build me a clone of that website. Go over to your coffee machine, make your coffee, come back, and it's done. And it's free. You don't
Unbelievable.
need any technical background.
Well, and I am finding that a lot of people that aren't necessarily technically savvy are using AI because it is so simple. It's just, I mean, I think that to get the right answer, you do need to learn how to be a little bit more sophisticated with your query. Otherwise you can get a lot of
But you
stuff.
can
But
ask them that.
yeah,
Like when I wrote the second act advantage, when I finished, it was as good as I could make it.
yeah,
I uploaded it to 6 different AIs,
yeah,
company I was chairman of, and the others, And I said, I want this to be the definitive book for helping people at this moment in history.
Right.
What's missing? That's what you ask AI.
Wow.
And
Wow.
what came back was a bunch of stuff that I didn't want, but there's one chapter in the book that I would have never thought of on my own because I have
Isn't,
a blind spot. We all have blind spots. And it was a huge oversight.
yeah.
So that's how you use it. If you could ask the same question of Google, then you're not using AI the right way.
Love that. Okay, I'm going to give you the last word here. What do you want to say to people? Because I think honestly, whether you really feel secure in your current career, and I don't think that, kind of what I'm hearing from you is that you probably shouldn't feel that secure in your career. Even if you feel secure, what do you think is really essential for people to do, and why should they be jumping into Digital J and the second act for this resources to start building it? I'll just say, my a friend of mine who was the vice chairman of one of the big investment banks in New York City, he always said we have our 9 to 5 job and we have our 5 to 9 job. And the 5 to 9 job is the passion project that actually might be the springboard to our next act. So I'm going to give you the final word on why people need your resources, and even if they think they're secure right now.
So for those of you that got the government job, went to the big company, work at a Fortune 500 company, of the original Fortune 500 companies, we have less than 10% of them are left. Okay. If your job today is sitting at a computer screen, the computer no longer needs you to sit there. So lawyers, accountants, middle management, clerical, you know, all that's automated out.
Yeah.
If you wonder why Alon and everybody's making humanoid robots, every physical job was designed for a person to fit in that space and do it. So the
Yeah.
number one job on tax returns is transportation driver. Okay. So the Autobahn has self-driving big rigs. The Tesla has one coming out. Uber's no longer going to have drivers. They're going to have autonomous vehicles. So robots are going to replace blue collar. Your McDonald's won't have any employees, your Starbucks, et cetera, et cetera. I'm not saying this to scare you. I'm saying this because I'm scared for what that does to society. When
Yeah.
society gets 10% unemployment, it falls apart. When there's
Yeah.
nobody paying into the tax base, where do you think your Social Security checks are going to come from? And
Yeah.
the people at the top don't care. They don't need you as a consumer. That's the big mistake people think. All right. The top 30,000 people make up more than half of all the consumer spending in the GDP. They don't need the other 350 million of us. Okay. So if you're still with your job and you still feel secure, you don't. So why not start a side hustle? Something that could be for good and for making money.
Mhm.
Learn these tools. Learn these tools for charity. Make your first client be, I'll make a better website for this charity. I'll help dogs get adopted at the shelter by posting cool pictures of them every day. Whatever, so you can learn the tools and being connected. Be the cool grandparent because you can now make Hollywood style movies for no money, using AI to create video. And when the hammer falls, now you'll be prepared and have the skills. But more likely, as you're getting competent with these things, as you're expanding your reach, as you're meeting like minded, change minded, growth minded people,
Yeah.
you'll be unstoppable. And
Yeah.
I watch it again and again from the most random things. Um, I'll end with one non-financial one that was just so amazing that's in the book. The guy was a civil engineer. He's getting his oil changed. Like, that's a waste of time. He picks up a greasy old copy of National Geo and he sees an article that in Africa during the rainy season, the Nile floods, and the only way this village can get to the doctors or to school is by hanging from a rope and going across the raging waters.
Wow.
This is insane to him. For whatever reason, he decided to buy himself a plane ticket. He was bored, flew over there and built an Indiana Jones style, rope bridge.
Right.
The impact on that village, the impact to his heart was such that he went back and he set up a 501c3, Bridges to Prosperity. He's built hundreds of them around the third world. He's linked millions of people together. And if that doesn't show the power of one individual to change our world, I don't know what does. And
Yeah.
I know if you're listening to my voice, if no one's told you this, I'll tell you, I believe in you. I know you can do it. I've seen people do miraculous stuff. And in fact, everything that we enjoy in life is because someone was stubborn and did
Yeah.
it.
And visionary. Yeah, I love this quote from the Dalai Lama. Anybody who thinks that one small person can't make a difference has never been in a room with a mosquito.
Exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, Jay, so much for joining me today. Again, everybody, please visit his website, jsammet.com, and also buy his book, Your Second Act Advantage. Get Digital J. And any other websites or ways to contact you on social that you want to make sure people
You
know
can find me on social if on Substack, jsammet.substack.com. I try to highlight, and I'd love to hear from your audience what they're doing. I like to put positivity out to the world and show people what people are doing, spark new ideas, and share what new technological innovations might spark that idea to help you succeed and help all of us live in a better world. Thank you, Natalie, for being generous with your time.
Thank you. Thank you for being generous with your wisdom. And Digital J sounds like something we all need for sure. So again, thank you, Jay, for your wisdom, for your time, for these books, for Digital Jay. And for those of you that really enjoyed this, be sure that you're signing up for his Substack, Jay Sammet. And, you can share this for free with all of your friends. So YouTube, Natalie Pace on Substack, I'm Natalie Pace. And of course, I do want you to follow us on social media. So if you go to nataliepace.com, you'll see all of my social media there. I'm actually doing a Living the Rich Life master class. I have just did that. And we're going to be doing a financial freedom retreat and how to earn income without paper losses masterclass. All of this is in the early bird pricing period, and you also get a free coaching session when you register for the retreat before June 30th. So I do encourage everybody, please go to nataliepace.com and check out some of the things that we've got going there. So, you can see here that you can have free coaching. There's my video conference, the most recent one, our Living a Rich Life Masterclass. We just had it. If you register for the retreat and you want access to that, we'll throw in the recording for you. Also, I do have 21 days of free video coaching, and these are prosperity and abundance mantras. It's designed to create a healthier, wealthier, more beautiful you in 21 days. And then, of course, our next retreat. Register by June 30th to receive that free coaching session and the best price. If you're up for an adventure, we've got a few rooms available in our private estate retreat that's going to happen spring equinox 2027. And there's links to my books. And of course, as I told you, there are links to all my social media. So thank you again for joining, and we'll see you next time.
One sunny day, sunny day, sunny day. At times I try to find some hope